The upcoming film, Don't Worry, Darling, has generated a ton of drama online. And we're only gonna focus on one part of it. It has to do with a revelation from Olivia Wilde, the director of the film, about the inspiration for one of the actors, Chris Pine's character, who seems to be some sort of a cult leader. So she said in an interview, we based that character on this insane man, Jordan Peterson, who is this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. You know the incels. The interviewer is like, no. And Wilde says they're basically disenfranchised, mostly white men who believe they are entitled to sex from women, which I think that's a pretty fair description. I think it could have been a lot more aggressive, but she goes on to say, and they believe that society has now robbed them. That the idea of feminism is working against nature, and then we must be put back into the proper place. To which the interviewer says, well, they must be psyched. Things are going really well for them. And Wilde says, yeah, they're actually succeeding in many different ways. But this guy, Jordan Peterson, is someone that legitimizes certain aspects of their movement because he's a former professor, he's an author, he wears a suit. So they feel like this is a real philosophy that should be taken seriously. And so I just want to identify that we're gonna talk broadly about this, but she is 100% right about why Jordan Peterson is popular or why they like him so much on the right. And in their response to Olivia Wilde, they prove it. Like they're continually talking about him being a preeminent psychologist. What the hell are you talking about? First of all, if he was a serious psychologist, the right would have no interest whatsoever because that would make him an academic. And maybe something even tangentially close to the medical field as well. No, they like him because they get to imply that there is something real and authentic and intellectual about their pathetic misogyny, homophobia, and racism. That's what they want. They want the fig leaf of seriousness, the idea that real philosophers would give them the time of day, that there's anything more than just, I don't like women, I feel like they've stolen stuff, I don't want to see them in movies. It is as pathetic and whiny as that, but they need something to gussy it up. And Jordan Peterson, he technically writes books. And so they're super enthusiastic about him, JR. And I'm glad that Olivia Wilde is recognizing that.
Yeah, and I think when people are preparing things, folks take inspiration from certain figures. And I don't know if you can take offense to it or not. I guess depending on what they think you are. My cousin's an actor, and he told me before when he did like an early thing in college, he took inspiration for this crazy mountain man. He goes, I was thinking about your dad. I was thinking about Uncle Don. And I was like, I think that's a good person to pull from. And it worked out for him. Dude's successful now. So I think it all works out, and you can't really be, I don't know if he took it personally, but maybe he should look at his followers and what they say, and you'll figure out that it might be accurate.
Yeah, no, they know what their following is, and they don't like it when you identify the con that they're running. And look, I don't know, when Jordan Peterson started, I don't know what his objective was, but the thing is, when you get into this form of grift, whether you're an author, a supposed philosopher, a YouTube figure or whatever, you put out the crazy sort of comments, and maybe originally they're not that crazy, but you get like a little bit of like attention, maybe a little bit of fame, a little bit of money from the right. And what do? You want it, you want more of that. And it's not lost on you that it's not difficult to get it. These people are very easy to con. They're super easy to understand what the very primal, obvious urges they have that they want to be told about. And so you give them a little bit more, and then they like you. And at the same time, as you appeal to those people, you will find, because you're spreading misogyny and racism and homophobia and Islamophobia and all of that, that other people are less interested in you. So the further you go there, the more you're pushed away from regular society, and it becomes a self-fulfilling thing. They want more of it, so they say crazier things. And it's such an easy con that lots of people try to get into it. So they have to continually compete with each other to give the purest version of the nonsense and propaganda. And so you start off as Jordan Peterson, supposedly, I don't think it actually was as simple as this, supposedly in the beginning telling them to clean their room. And what does he do now? He sits in an over dramatized room talking about the woke mob coming for me. He's a parody of himself at this point, and this is a machine that creates that. And so that's Jordan Peterson. He can get mad about this or whatever, but that's 100% what's actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes this is the thing, and I think you may have mentioned this in a different way, but like these folks, they have their stances or they have these belief systems, and many times maybe it's been suppressed, kept out of public eye. And then when you want to generate something from them, sure, you need to give them an excuse for why they can stick their head out and say and believe these types of things in the open, and think there's a community for it, which I guess they've discovered. But it can't be just we're hateful people who are concerned about how our position of superiority in our society that we've structured is being dismantled, or at least being called out because we're too weak to actually defend it, or even be a part of society that isn't based off of us being in control of everything and telling everybody what to do. Once you have to have those groups of people that can't let go of that feeling, it's either go with violence, hey, or else we're gonna kill you, or hey, we're Christian, we're better than you. Or, as you mentioned, the intellectual side. You know what? This is the smart approach. You guys just don't get it. They need something that's an offshoot of the real focus, and the target is actually just to maintain the status quo of control and power. And it works, I guess, to a degree.
Yeah, and if for any individual grifter, it could be more personal or it could be more sort of strategic in that way. Like I think Jordan Peterson is perfectly happy to just make a bunch of money off of this. Telling easily identified ridiculous things to pathetic people online and accruing a following of that sort of person. Others like Ben Shapiro, I think are more conscious of the strategic role that they fill in right-wing media, is literally to just take whatever percentage they can of younger people. And I don't think it's that significant, but it's larger than it should be considering because they get millions of dollars in free advertising. And just get them to think that politics is supposed to be about whining about rap songs or something like that. You shouldn't have any aspirations economically. The government shouldn't actually deliver for you. You're just supposed to complain about stuff and get mad that Black Panther exists or something. That's the role that he fills, and he gets paid quite handsomely to fill that role. And it continues. He's complaining about Black Panther a few years ago. Elon Musk is whining about the rings of power this week. It's the easiest like if you ever wonder why there isn't really this on the left, it's because there aren't these easily identified things where it's like, oh, you're super pathetic in this particular way, and you desperately want to be reassured that you're not pathetic. It is so easy to diagnose on the right. And so people with a couple of neurons to rub together, like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, they can identify that, and it's the easiest thing in the world to mine for fame and money and clout and all of that.
I don't know, John. I am disturbed that that Black Panther hasn't been played by a white actor yet.
100%. There's a woman in the next Black Panther. Oh my God, if they make the next Black Panther a woman, they're gonna complain so much. Oh my God, they are.
Almost like the comics or something. Weird.
Almost. How dare they have a She-Hulk? She never existed. Wait, I know, none of it makes any sense.